Negroes with a Podcast. You can find us on NWAP Cast on pretty much. I think Lex changed everything now, so I think everything's NWAP Cast now. So it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr. We don't have Tumblr or Pinterest. I definitely made that up.
I was like, what?
Definitely made that up. Yeah. You said, whoa, yeah. I'm the host, Smooth Order. And Tunde is frozen.
It's me, Negroid Android.
Tunde? No?
Yeah, Tunde.
Are you back, Tunde? Tunde is having some technical difficulties right now.
What? Y'all can't hear me?
Yes, now we can. Introduce yourself, nigga.
I said Tunde, talk 7. My bad.
All right, and today we have a very, very special guest from Brooklyn.
Pew, 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 pew. Hey, everybody. I'm XD, back in this cut like gay niggas in butt. What's up?
Hey.
That was how the intro.
Yeah.
See, that's what happens when you tell. See, before the show, XD was like, "So, like, can I say, like, what's the parameters here?" We're like, "Say whatever you want." He was like, "No, don't tell me I can say whatever I want, because like niggas be telling me I can say whatever I want, and then they try to cut me out." And I was like, "No, we're not going to cut you out of anything." So that's how he decided he's going to start the podcast.
Exactly. Listen, I had to learn.
Live your truth.
Exactly. Beyonce, everybody. Beyonce, Oprah. Yes.
All right, man. So since you're the special guest, why don't you tell people like who you are, where they can find you, what you got going on, and that kind of thing.
Sure. I am a digital content creator. That is a lofty term that doesn't mean anything. I just had to do a bunch of shit on the internet. I have a podcast called Jaden XD. I do some community stuff in New York. I now run a support group for New York City transplants for queer people of color. Yeah, I write here and there on the internet for people that will pay and pay on time. I'm just out here. Shade,
said
all
no
shade.
Said all the shade to Ebony.
Yeah, it's cool. They owe niggas money. That's why we have this topic on the discussion about why I live using parents to support you. Why? Because niggas don't pay on time. That's
niggas
why.
Do not pay on time. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Everybody's favorite topic is relationships, but I would like to talk about an article that I saw in particular about relationships called "The New Dating Requirement: Consuming All of Your Partner's Content." So the premise of this article is that people are crazy as fuck, and they have new dating requirements that require people to consume their partner on social media. And by consume, I mean watch their snaps, comment on their snaps. I still don't even use Snapchat, so I'm like really confused about that. I didn't know that you can comment on snaps, so that's like news. Engage with their Instagram pages and stuff like that or whatever. Just like this whole craziness. So I'm going to read some of the quotes that I picked out. Quote, "I treat my Instagram as an extension of my personality, and it's filled with things that are important to me. If he doesn't engage with something I've posted, it makes me feel like he doesn't like me."
Lonely.
Next quote. Brittany in DC said she's currently dating a man who ignores her content regularly despite being, quote, extremely online, unquote. I mean, everybody's extremely online. I don't even know what the fuck that means. Quote, "It makes me feel like garbage," she said. "In our current dating age, it seems insane to play with someone like that just for the power dynamic." Next quote. "I carefully curate all my IG stories," said Taylor, a 26-year-old in New York, because where else would this shit be taking place? She says she gets sad and upset if the man she's seeing doesn't watch her story or skips over it. I did not know that people could actually see that. "That shit seriously makes me mad. Just be respectful and watch my story." Last quote. "For most people, watching their partner's Instagram story is a way to show they care, whether done consciously or unconsciously. It sends the message that you're interested in what your significant other is thinking and doing. XD, you are the guest. You get first dibs. What are your thoughts here?
This is, I don't want to say this is a white problem, but this is a white problem, but this is also a young people problem. Like, I don't know, maybe this is like a under 30 kind of problem where it's just like you have to. I understand this idea of like having your social media presence be an extension of you, but it's also like, girl, who cares? Like, I have your phone number. I see you naked. Like, I cook you breakfast. Why does it matter that I have to see you out with your homegirls, like getting pedicure, talking about we lit and, or shit like that? Like, that doesn't make sense. It sounds like to me the people who have issues with this are super insecure. Like, and like full disclosure, like me and my significant other, we don't engage each other on the internet at all. Like, and well, funny story. So the other day, there was a meme, and it was the saying, it was 2 pictures of Whitley Gilbert, and he was just like, I love you, Dwayne. And the next picture was, but this broke, something about this broke shit is whack or something like that. And I retweeted and put big mood. Oh. About 3 hours later, I got a screen cap. What's this about? Nigga, go away. I'll talk to you later.
Tunde.
So a couple things. I think Instagram is a snitch. Like, I'm pretty sure they changed their algorithm where the people who engage in your, on your Instagram, they show those. When you go to your Instagram story, you can see who viewed your story, and the people who engaged on your page, they put those people at the top. Wow. So, yeah, Instagram's a whole snitch.
Oh, that's some bullshit.
Yeah. So,
you need to boycott Instagram.
Hey, my loves.
Yeah, I think it's some bullshit. Especially if you see your significant other or the person you're dating like every day, why do I have to view your story? That's like I used to date this girl, right? And we used to like talk all day on GChat, and she would tell me about her day as things were happening on GChat. And then we would get home and she would tell me the same thing over and over, like over again. And I'm like I don't care.
Yeah.
So
it's like I already heard this story, nigga. What the fuck?
Exactly. I want to watch basketball, but I think SD is right. This is some young people shit. But we went through the same thing, kind of. Like, remember back in the day, like you weren't official unless you were Facebook official. So like, or like you didn't have me in your top 8 on MySpace.
Oh my god.
So now,
oh no, friendships were ruined and wrecked over top 8.
I definitely got pressed. I definitely got pressed about my MySpace top 8.
Who that bitch in the second row?
that was probably because I had my side chick in my top 8, so that probably wasn't like a smart idea.
Oh, you're trash. Okay.
Des, some early comments on that.
I think it's a product of like these young people. Like, I think it's like young people who are like I don't want to say addicted to the internet, but they're really tied to it. Like, I remember, like, we used to have, and this is going back, like, all of my friends was, like, I didn't use the internet as much as everybody else did in those intermediary years, because I was just, like, running the streets. But I do remember, the people I associated with, like, they would have pagers. And, like, niggas would have the pager codes. And it was like, yo, nigga, you page me, and I'm going to get to you when I get to you. Now, there is no way to say, I'll get to you when I get to you. Because somebody could be like, yo, I tweeted you, I added you in my Snap, and I hit you up on Instagram. And I'll be like, actually, that's called stalking. But that's abuse. For young people, that's regular communication. They'd be like, oh, you have no reason to not respond. And like when the lady said, my Snap as an extension of me. Right. It's like, no, bitch, your personality is an extension of you. Like, I'm gonna meet you if I know you in person. Don't expect me to like my wife and I, like we download when she come home from work and when I come home from work, or like I'll tell you, when we both come back from a trip, we download because when we're out on work trips, we probably not gonna communicate as much, right? We then do that with like if we have one of our partners, right? We didn't do that with our partner, and all three of us are communicating. Dog, I could not imagine having to keep up with your shit as it happens. Cause like I didn't know that you could one comment on snaps, but two, I didn't know that this is just me a function of me not using the internet.
Let me say this about the snap. I might have dated myself because I don't actually know if you can comment on Snap.
You can.
Okay, good. So I'm not completely out of touch just yet.
But then
I'm getting there.
To go to what Tunde said, I also didn't know this shit tells you who viewed your like Instagram stories. That shit is like read receipts at work. Like that shit is like somebody sent you an email. Is like, oh, I see you haven't checked my email, but you've been responding to other emails. Like that's some snitch ass shit.
That's like pretty fucking ridiculous.
Snapchat tells you that too.
What does?
Snapchat tells you who viewed your stories too, but Instagram just tells you puts it in order. Instagram just puts it in order for like who's like gets interacted with your page more.
Wait, so they can't put the fucking timeline in order, but they can tell you who the fuck is looking at your page?
That's what I'm about to say.
Yeah. Ain't that some shit?
This also feeds that addiction where niggas got to be on their phone constantly. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because you looking for who's responding to me. Like if you got a business and your business is on the internet, that makes perfect sense. If you just looking at your homeboy like, hey, my nigga, you ain't responding to my snap. He's like, nigga, I'm gonna see you after work.
Right.
That's
and more importantly, nobody's really that interesting to watch all day, every day. Even the person that you fucking, they're not all that interesting.
No, not at all. Not at all. But you know what? I was listening to you guys talk. You guys were saying that it's a young people's problem. I don't think it's just a young people's problem though. Like, I think people our age are occasionally, what's the word I should use? Sidetracked by these things, right? Because when you look at people our age and the way that they use Instagram, and what are they posting? Babies, marriages, vacation trips, and that kind of shit. Because niggas have finally got a little bit of disposable income, so now they have to tell the entire world what they're doing with their disposable income or the money that they borrowed on their credit card, whichever one, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have to go home and have conversations with your significant other about why they're not doing the same things that their friends are doing, or they feel some type of way about their friends living this life and you two aren't doing that certain thing. Or, you know, like, how come, you know, you're all over my page and I'm not on your page? And it's like, I don't really like the internet like that. Like, why does it even matter?
Like some show and tell shit, right? Like,
but there's some real cultural cachet, so to speak, to these things. Like people, like even when Tunde brought up Facebook, and like if you put in a relationship and it was in a relationship with such and such, like that was a big deal. Like people, oh my God, I didn't even know what. Oh my God, congratulations!
Social
it's like
currency as such, yeah.
Right. It's like, nigga, I didn't win the lottery. I just got into a relationship. Like, well, I guess getting into a relationship is kind of like a lottery that some people are winning and some people are not. But like, I think people our age are afflicted by this thing too. Like, it's not. I think young people, it's exacerbated because their entire lives are on the internet. And that's how they grew up. We grew up in a way. I mean, XD, you're 30, right? You're over 30?
Yeah.
Right. So most of us remember a time where the internet was optional. Like you could log in and then you could just go on about your fucking business. Where, you know, phone calls were optional. Oh, you called me and I missed the phone call. We didn't have caller ID, so I didn't know you called. You go to school the next day. It was like, oh, you called me? My bad. I was, you know, elsewhere and I didn't know that you called. You know, even with pagers, it's like, nigga, if I can't get to a pay phone, dated myself again, then I ain't gonna be able to call your ass back. Call you when I get home.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yo, I was thinking about this also. Niggas be living whole nother lives on the internet.
Man,
I know some niggas with fire ass Instagram be like, yo, you broke in real life. You borrowed $200 from me the other day, and now you on Instagram stunting, my nigga.
Let's talk about that for a second, right? Like this whole let's talk about the internet life versus internet quote unquote life versus quote unquote real life. XD, you want to say something?
I told you that before we started the show. Niggas is po. And they be stunting for the gram.
But that don't. I had a homie borrow $200 from me, and he was like, Des, yo, I'm in a tight spot right now. I was like, I got you, dog. You my nigga. I know you for years. Boom, I shoot him the 200. Then I look at the Instagram, this nigga, and it's shit from like he told me he was out of town. This nigga was on some trip. Now, I'm not gonna lie, he hit me back with my money, but also I was like, dog, you needed money to get back. Like, how you stunting now? How are you living this life when I know you personally and I know what life you're living?
Tunde?
Listen, I'll tell you, I say it all the time on the show. I'm broke
as fuck.
I'm broke. That's it. I ain't studying for nobody. Because I think we talked about it on the recap show for like the 2017 recap show. People only put the highlights on the internet.
Right.
And like when somebody, I think I call myself a hater. Like when somebody puts like their kids on the internet, I always think about, damn, that baby had you up crying till like 4 a.m. And then you put a picture of your
that's a hater ass comment.
I mean, it's like, so you gotta try to balance things out. So, I don't.
No, I hear you. I just, you know what? I be thinking like,
I gotta do that. I'm sorry. That's like, ooh, you baby. I know that kept you up late today.
Oh shit! But sometimes I be wondering like is it really is it like some people are absolutely living like a separate life on the internet than they are in real life? But is that always a bad thing? Like when I was unemployed, like I was unemployed and I tweeted about that frequently. But like I don't always want to tweet about the fact that I'm unemployed. Like I want to talk about some happy shit. Like I came to the internet to escape my problems, nigga, not to confront them shits head on.
But there's one thing to not tweet your lows, but there's another thing to just flat out lie.
Right. Like, niggas only tweet highs. It's like, yo, you shooting 100% from the field? I don't believe that.
No, nigga. Now that's the thing that I'm talking. Well, not to what XD was talking about, but to what you were talking about in terms of the things that you share on the internet, right? Like I'm not obligated to share the low points in my life. And as a matter of fact, especially not sharing them on the internet because the internet doesn't care about you.
The internet is an evil place.
You don't care about your feelings. Like, damn, man, I lost my job today. You tweet that shit on Twitter, and somebody that don't like your ass, or in some people's cases, a lot of people that don't like your ass, they're going to take your ass to the message board. They're going to be like, that nigga broke as fuck, nigga.
I knew that nigga was broke.
Right. And it's like, damn, dog, like, I just wanted to talk about the fact that something wasn't happening good in my life right now, and all of a sudden, like, the internet's about to make me go commit suicide. But if I only tweet the good shit, then it's like, well, nigga, you always tweet like don't nothing bad happen to you. It's like, damn, nigga, I can't tweet about nothing I want to tweet about because all y'all niggas is watching too hard.
Right. You say on the internet that you stepped your toe, all of a sudden you on Lipstick Alley saying that you homeless and got AIDS. Like, see, you can't say shit like that, like, at all. I understand why people only tweet their highs. Right. And so, like, I totally understand that. However, there's this idea of people living double lives on the internet, like to does its thing with the guy who was on stunting on the gram. It's just like, that's not necessarily a high. That's more of like that's a facade. Like that's not really who the fuck you is.
That's a good point. And that's how we're going to transition into the next topic, because sometimes people be stunting on the gram and they really be stunting. Like they're really living that life, but somebody else is financing that life. Their parents. So for this topic, I wanted to talk about, well, this is kind of like a two-part topic because I didn't want to talk about the negative part of it. But since that, negativity spreads faster. So that's what we're going to talk about first. People who be everything. I thrive in negativity. But people who get on the internet and they like, yeah, nigga, we was in Cabo, we was in fucking Sweden, niggas in Paris, you know what I'm saying, eating, some boysenberry creme brulee and shit. I heard that on a rap song. I don't know anything. I don't even know what boysenberry creme brulee even means, but I heard it on a rap song.
Gibbs, right? Freddie Gibbs.
Listen, it is Freddie Gibbs.
As the only homosexual on this podcast currently, I have no idea what the fuck you just said.
I never heard of that shit either.
I heard the shit in a rap song, so it has to be good. But but people be out here like living like for real, living their best life. You know, they be working hard, but you know, they got parents financing that shit. But then they try to pretend that they did it by themselves. So what are we to make of that? Anybody?
There's no shame in having parents help you financially. Like I feel like hell, I hate saying this phrase, but the whites do it. They get them into colleges, they get them into jobs, they have trust funds, they take continents away from people and give it to their cousins.
Right, that's real.
Said they take continents away and give it to other people. That's what they do. Tunde.
Not only do white people do it, a lot of foreigners do it too. You would have kids staying with their parents until they're like ready to get married and living off their parents, and no one bats an eye at it. It's only in America where it's like at 18 you have to move out and you have to get a job or go to college and you're on your own. But at 18 you can't even drink. So I mean, I don't get it. I mean, my parents did it to me. My parents said, you gotta get the fuck out the house because they had 4 other kids. So I get it and I don't, but I'm not gonna look down my nose at people who get help from their parents unless you are one of the people stunned on the gram.
Then the hate
is conditional.
Yeah, the hate is going to fly.
Yeah, because like you can't. I mean, not that I would know unless you told us, but you can't like be on the gram like popping bottles and one weekend and in Santorini the next weekend. I got that from a rap song too because I have no idea. I've never been there.
Rick Ross, yeah.
So like you can't like do that and then have your parents pay for your rent. Like
Wait. Why can't they pay your rent and go to Santorini?
Okay, hold on. Let me explain. Can I jump in on that?
Go ahead.
Because I'm a hater, that's why.
Oh, well, there you go.
Because my parents don't pay my rent, so I wish they did, but you know. Go ahead. Des.
We live in Brooklyn, and like you said, the whites do it. That's the problem. Like the whites do it. Like when I look at like other business owners and whatnot, like they be like, "Oh yeah, just start a business, blah blah blah," and they pops or they uncle gave them $50,000 to invest. You're like, nigga, that's not reality. Like nobody else can do that. So like when you see that and you see people like that's where I say it's imbalance, right? Because like if your parents is helping you, like your mama didn't give you that money. She gave you that money to help you with rent and maybe some expenditures for your business. She did not give you that on overpriced bottles of Hennessy in Ibiza. Like that's not what this is about. And like when I see that, like yes, my initial thing is to hate, but on the other side, I'm thinking like, man, white people do that all the time, and like it's the thing that you see here, like places like New York, it's undercutting communities because you see these white people, all they do is go to coffee shops. It's like, yo, what do you do, nigga? They'd be like, I'm a rock climber. I got a business. And my parents fund me. And I'd be like, nigga, I really got a business and I got to work for every, like, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to get this contract. I'm going to spend it on rent. And you be out here just bullshitting on the internet, blogging about difficulties, and your mama paying you rent, nigga. No, I got beef with that.
Never go to work. White people never go to work. It's like
they
the cast of Friends.
You know what that shit remind me of when I think about this is when I read those Forbes articles where they're always talking about how I was able to pay down $65,000 in debt in 2 years. And then you read the story and it's like, yeah, I slept on my brother's couch for 2 years and I didn't pay any rent.
And I only ate
a 4-bedroom house.
Scraps.
Yeah. The only thing, I budgeted my money and I made sure that I only got the bare necessities. Like, no, nigga, you didn't pay any rent. That's how you paid $65,000 in 2 years. You didn't pay any rent. I could pay off a lot of shit if I'm not paying rent for 2 fucking years. You know what I'm saying?
Nigga, I could be debt free.
I'd be a fucking baller. I could be an Instagram baller if I didn't pay rent for 2 years.
Abu Dhabi every day on Instagram.
Nigga said Abu Dhabi.
All that shit, nigga.
I would be a bad bitch of Instagram if I didn't pay rent. I'd have a flat tummy tea deal, everything. Why? Because I don't have to pay rent.
And I'd be talking down on niggas. Oh, y'all niggas is at work today? Broke ass niggas.
With your broke asses. Hide the money, niggas. There's
With
all
your
people
ass.
around.
Doing GPS reports, nigga.
You learning how to do Excel at work, nigga? I'm excelling at life, nigga. That's what the fuck I'm doing.
I'm in Abu Dhabi. You niggas is in the break room fighting over staplers, nigga.
Right, exactly. Get like me.
Broke ass niggas. But yo, the other part of this that I wanted to talk about was what I think it was Tunde that brought it up earlier, or no, I think Tunde was actually being a hater. Might have been Des.
Might have been that.
Talking about just this idea of like why parental help is looked down on, right? Like why people like not when niggas is stunting on niggas. Like I completely understand when you're upset that niggas are stunting on you and they getting help from their parents. Completely understandable. But like when people are like, yeah, like my parents helped me get a down payment on a house, or my parents, paid my car off, or my parents take care of my cell phone bills or whatever. Like people seem to take like a lot of issue with this idea of parental help. And as XD pointed out earlier, the whites do this and they do it a lot. I read so many articles about white couples who are just getting their start out 23, 24. They got married. They already got 2 kids. I don't know what the fuck they doing. They just live differently. And they're like, yeah, like they wanted to start a business and somebody's grandparents' inheritance came down. Somebody opened up like their parents took money from their checking account and shit and invested into their business, like 6 figures worth of shit. Or their parents owned a business and the kid worked there for a couple of years and they stayed home and they made all this money and they were able to move out and kind of do their own thing or whatever. And I noticed, and I hate to be that person, but like black people seem to be like really, 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 really like offended by this idea.
Well, I mean,
sometimes we're lending our parents money. Like sometimes that's what it is.
Yes, it is. Absolutely is. I was definitely sending money. I was definitely sending money home when I was in undergrad, and when
it's expected. It's expected.
Yeah, I could definitely, you know what I'm saying. But like, it took me a while to realize like it's supposed to be the other way around. Like my parents are supposed to send me money, nigga.
Well, I don't know. I feel like
it is supposed to.
Go ahead, Tunde.
No. Go ahead, XD. You the guest. Fuck Tunde.
I don't know. I feel like there's a couple of layers to this, right? I mean, if I don't want to say black people are haters or whatever, because that's not what it is. I feel like we don't necessarily have access to that all the time based on SES and status quo. Like we don't necessarily have the generational wealth to shift, to our offspring and stuff like that. And also, other cultures and communities have other things like privilege, to help them out. But I also don't necessarily think that giving your parents your money is a bad thing either. It's almost like you get a sense of pride when you're able to do that. Like
absolutely.
Like I bought my mother a TV a couple months ago. And I felt amazing because I was like, oh, nigga, I don't have to ask for money or anything. Like, I'm doing this for you. And I felt really good about it. And, and she'll ask for money. Of course, I'm going to give it to her. It's not like I'm going to say no. Like, no. But, I don't necessarily think it's always like a give and like a take from parents. Sometimes it's nice to give back too.
Indeed. But, yeah. Tunde?
So my mom, right? My mom is she's the oldest sibling in our family. So when she came to America, it was her responsibility to take care of her parents because one, they have the dynamic of her living in America, and then you have the exchange rate of money. So it was understood. Not only would she take care of her parents, but she would take care of her 4 younger siblings and their children, right? So my mom has 2 houses in Nigeria, right? So my mom always told us, when you get older, guess what you're gonna do? You're not gonna put me in a home. You're gonna take care of me. So I don't know what type of house you're gonna live in, but make sure that you have enough room for a guest house or a basement or something, because I'm gonna live there. So I always knew that. All right. at a certain point, I'm gonna be taking care of at least my mom, and not my mom and my dad. So, but I didn't expect that to come to like, you know, when I'm in my 20s, like sending money home. Not that my parents needed it, but I always, you know, as I've gotten older, I've looked back and like, oh, my parents did do a lot for me. So why not, you know, buy them stuff, even though they don't. You can do. Yeah. So I think it's the difference between us and, you know, the whites. I think they kind of leech off their parents a lot longer than we do.
Yeah, and I also think like when we talk about, I think the adulthood, the term adulthood and what adulthood actually entails or what it's supposed to entail, I think that's changing, right? Like I heard they're extending they're extending like adolescence to like 25 or some shit. Niggas don't grow up till they 35 or some shit like that. And I think about like when these rules came into place, right? Like when people were saying when people originally came up with the concept of you being an adult at 18, that's because you were working at like 12. You got a family at like 16 and you died at 40, right? Yeah. Like that's where all of this shit comes from. Like niggas wasn't living till like 75 and 85 back then. Niggas was dying at like 40. And they had like full-time jobs, they had benefits, niggas had pensions, all this bullshit because shit didn't last that long because you were gonna die.
And they were working 80 hours at like 11 years old.
Yeah, like niggas was out in the field and they was coming back to the factory and then they had to come home and like cut the chicken head off and like pull the leather. Like niggas was living a completely different fucking reality. What?
Chicken head off and pull the feathers. It was like, goddamn.
Yeah, nigga, that's real. That's what the fuck niggas had to do because I mean, niggas couldn't go to Purdue. Well, I mean, that shit wasn't around when he was making all these fucking rules up. So. I mean, to sum it all up, really, I don't think there's anything wrong, and I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement with that. There's nothing wrong. Well, maybe except for Tunde. There's nothing wrong with getting help from your parents. Please stop.
But just to add on, though, like, you know, it's this idea of this weird societal expectation of what you're supposed to do at a certain age, right? Like, and we see this constant conversation on the internet about like, well, you need to have your life together by age 30, and I'm not doing X, Y, and Z by 30 because, oh, y'all on Twitter at 30, y'all whack. Like, no, like, you realize that a lot of times this false expectation of age does equate to how people make their money. And so people also look down upon people because they're like, oh, you're in your 30s or in your late 20s and asking your parents for money or getting financial support from your parents. Is kind of like, well, why are you doing that when you're supposed to be grown? When it doesn't necessarily mean anything at whatever age, you know what I mean? Like, hell, my grandmother still gives my uncle money, and he's in his 60s. So,
But you know the thing though, like 30 comes up fast. Like I remember
when the first 20 years you're in school. You don't graduate undergrad until 22.
Yeah. I remember when I was like 21, I was like, yeah, when I'm 30, like I'm gonna be married, I'm gonna have like this amount of kids, I'm gonna be working doing this. Like when I woke up and I was 30, I was like, yo, where the fuck did the last 30 years go? Because I didn't know that I was 30 already. Like I woke up and I was really surprised. Everybody, happy birthday. Whose birthday is this, nigga? 30? Really?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Des.
So I was talking with my homeboy yesterday.
Sorry. Tunde was talking first. I'm sorry. What were you gonna say, Tunde?
No, I just want to throw in there, like Des said, I didn't finish school until I was 29, so 30 does come very, very fast. And I didn't take any years off. Exactly. So.
All right, Des, we'll get your last comment.
No, I was gonna say, like, when you talking about that, like, I think about like the way 30 comes up fast. Literally, I was in school. I was trying to figure out what I was gonna do. I'll tell you right now, my homeboy, I was talking to him yesterday. I said, Black people are focused so much on avoiding poverty that we don't ever get the chance to focus on prosperity. And I was telling him, I remember, and I'm gonna just tell this quick story. I forgot how old I was. I was like 10 or 11, and my mom didn't have no money. We were staying with my grandma, and it was after church, and she had paid her money for tithes. And if you a 11-year-old who've been exposed to drug dealers, I'm like, we ain't got no money. Why? And
Wait,
and we went.
Hold on, Des. You said the last thing we caught was why you ain't got no money because then your computer started doing some fuck shit.
Oh, my bad. I was like, you ain't got no money. Why are we giving money to tithing? Right? And I was like, she had $3, and we went to Wendy's, and she got a dollar drink, a dollar fry, and a dollar burger, a dollar, whatever cheeseburger. And we split that after church between me, her, and my brother. And I said, I will never have to do this again. And I was like 10 or 11. And I'm telling you right now, I never have to do that again. And all my life, I worked hard. I tried to get a job. And once I got a job and I was living in DC and I was working for the federal government in the science lab, I was making money, nigga. And I was trying to, and boom, I'm out of grad school. I'm 25. I'm making money till I'm like 28. And I'm like, all right, this is not what I wanted to do. I want to get back into organizing, giving to my community, blah, blah, blah. Nigga, I'm 30. And now I'm here. I'm working in a school and now I'm making money. Here I am, I'm 32. And I'm like, I still got money that I've saved up because I had, over time, but I've never had the opportunity to focus on prosperity because it's always been about avoiding poverty. And like, if your mama wasn't splitting Wendy's with you when you was 10, you know what I'm saying? And she giving you money now that you 20, you ain't got no excuse. So I feel a certain way, but I also recognize that, all right, niggas get the opportunity to grow, but we got to realize like, sometimes it's not even hate. It's just like, I just want to succeed. And I hate seeing other niggas succeed without having to put in the work that I had to put in.
So you a hater. Like Tunde.
I don't know if it's hate.
I mean,
I don't know if it's hate.
It is hate.
No. Life.
Absolutely. No. Listen, you have a valid reason for feeling like that. It's still hating. I just don't want to get away from that. Like, I understand. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
We came from the same city.
It's hate.
We got the same struggle, nigga. We we known each other for a long time.
That's hate.
That shit is still hate. It's fine. Like, but like, don't let the word hater offend you. It's okay.
No, yeah, it's okay to be a hater. Yeah, it's totally okay to be a hater.
Don't be offended by that.
I'm a hater. Fuck
yeah, like, yeah. Don't be offended by that.
I hate all the time, like the Vine stars. I was doing YouTube and shit, like in 2007. These niggas put up a 6-second clip and they all fucking have a show on MTV2 and shit. And I'm here in Brooklyn Poe as a motherfucker. Hell yeah, I'm gonna hate.
Y'all niggas wild.
So, getting away from that a little bit, we want to jump into, of course, it's February. It's Black History Month. There's a lot of black ass shit happening, namely Black Panther and the Black Cement 3s that are happening to be dropping on the same day. Of course, those are Jordans. Don't buy Jordans, invest in Bitcoin, that kind of shit.
Bitcoin don't keep you laced, nigga.
Don't let the way that these crypto niggas is talking on my Twitter timeline, everybody is getting rich. I don't know what that shit is.
I don't see no pictures from Dubai.
I don't see no niggas with that Bitcoin in Dubai, nigga. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's Black History Month. Ivanka Trump was tweeting about Black History Month, fucking it all up. I think it was a satire tweet about Trump saying he was going to make a new Black History Month in February, which, with Trump, you never know. Shit could be true. It could be you never know what that means.
You never know.
You never know. So, like, what does Black History Month mean to y'all at this age in 2018? Like, we all over 30. Like, does Black History Month still have, like, the same cultural cachet for you? Or is it just kind of like, oh, nigga, it's February. I got to buy somebody a present for Valentine's Day?
I use it as an act of protest. So, like, if I go in the office so I can ensure that white people are comfortable. Happy Black History Month, everybody. Good morning. Do you know who Mary McLeod Bethune is? She has a school. No, wow. I use it like it's not like, because in elementary school you just it's like a cute thing, like, and there's and then at some point you gather around and watch the Martin Luther King movie, and at some point you watch the Jackson television series and maybe Roots, but it doesn't really like. I don't know what it means as an adult and what should I do. I mean, there is this whole idea of, like getting into organizing, doing stuff for the community and all that good stuff. But there's never really been And what are we supposed to do during Black History Month? Yes, we honor and stuff, but that's like, we should do that. I mean, yeah, they come across every day. Like, okay, I'm gonna remember this motherfucker who, you know, invented the stoplight. That's great. But what am I supposed to do actively? You know?
Garrett Morgan? I think. I don't know.
Yeah, Garrett A. Morgan.
Okay.
Okay.
But I just don't know what I just don't know what actively for us to do. It would be great if we did something. You know, yes, Black Panther is coming out and that's all that jazz and awesome. But it's just like, what are we going to actively do during this month to make it like the bomb? Like, you know, what to uplift and advance us as a people.
Got you. Tunde?
So I started. Well, you guys know I'm a teacher, so my school is pretty diverse across the board. I think it's mostly majority Black, but there's a good amount of Latino students, Latinx students.
Is it Latinx? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah. How were you pronouncing it?
I wasn't. I was just reading it in words. I wasn't. I never actually heard anybody say this shit out loud. Not this shit, but I never heard anybody say this.
Total side note before you go, Tunde. Like there was this meme on Tumblr. Tumblr is the worst place ever. But they had made like a non-binary version of nigga called NigX. It was just very funny. So now I'm going to use it.
Is that an inappropriate term? NigX?
Nigga. Yeah, if you were non-binary, nigga, like you NigX. Like.
Bet you're Latinx, Tunde.
Oh, yeah. So we have a good amount of white students as well. So we have a period. I teach a class. I teach science, but I also have like an advocate group where I meet with every day, and we talk about whatever's going on in their lives, or I use that to like further enrich their education with anything that I feel they should learn. So for February and March, you know, I would do like history facts. So I told the students that we were going to learn some Black history facts. So I started off with Rosa Parks. So I noticed all the Black students paying attention, even though they probably already knew who Rosa Parks was. And all the white students took out their phones and started playing video games. So I was just like, this is indicative of like just like a microcosm of just society in general. Mm-hmm. So for us, I don't know if Black History Month actually means anything as we get older, because just now, I said Garrett A. Morgan. Like that's just a random Black History fact that's been drilled into my memory from when I was younger. It doesn't mean anything to me now. Like I know that majority of the inventions that makes our lives better today were invented by Black people. Yeah. Black History Month should be more about white people. We should force them to learn shit about us. like that should be a part of every like as he said, every job, at his job, like he says he makes white people feel uncomfortable. Black History Month should be about making white people feel uncomfortable.
Oh, I'm all about that 365, but yes, I agree.
Yeah. So like I don't think it's about us as we get older. It should be about the Black children so they grow up with a sense of pride. And it should be all year round. But for us as adults, I don't know if it really means anything.
Yeah. Not Tunde. Des.
I think Black History Month, it means a lot to me because I think it was a bigger deal when I was younger. I think about and I know this is simple, right? And this is going to sound stupid. Maybe, I don't know. If y'all remember Martin and Living Single, if you notice, Queen Latifah and Martin always had on some Black college shit. They would have on Howard shirts, Morehouse shirts. They would have Grambling, Fisk. They would have all Morgan State. They would have all this shit. And you'd be like, damn, what is that? And you would see all these different colors. And you'd be like, yo, what is that? And you look it up. You're like, oh, this is a college for Black people. I don't think that that's as prevalent anymore. You don't see anybody with Like I was wearing my FAMU hoodie the other day, and somebody was like, "What is that?" And I was like, "It's FAMU, nigga. It's the biggest it's the best HBCU in the world. The fuck are you talking about?" And like white people have no idea that there are whole ass colleges that are dedicated to black people. Now imagine white people don't know that. Those same white people and their cousins and aunts and uncles going to be HR directors and HR employees. And when they don't know that, they're like, what is a black school? Like, I guess you couldn't get into a regular school. So and like, I just think the importance of black history is beyond like those historical figures. It's more about rooting blackness in reality. Like white people exist in this world that just really doesn't interact with black people. And I think we have to put it in their forefront and put it in their faces. And I think Black History Month is an opportunity for us to do that. And it's like, crackers, you agreed to this. You can't complain. This is our month. You got to hear these facts.
This nigga said, cracker, you agree.
Exactly. That's why every morning, every like Thursday and Friday, I enter the office. Happy Black History Month. How are you?
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about Black History Month at 32 because I don't really know what the fuck. I don't do anything any differently than the last goddamn 11 months that I was talking shit about white people and uplifting black people. So get to February, I guess it's just like, all right, let me just check in to make sure I'm staying
special sauce on this shit.
Yeah, like make sure I'm staying consistent. With
February allows you to be extra disrespectful. That's all.
Yeah. Like like I'm just gonna like go to the fucking salad bar and just be like, where's the hot sauce? Just like say something like real ignorant. It's like, it's Black History Month. Say whatever I want, bitch. Like, I don't know. But I do try to like Tune said, I do think about it in terms of my younger siblings. Because I have younger siblings. They are I have 6 younger siblings. Oh shit. I have 6 younger siblings, 1 on my father's side and 5 on my mother's side. The youngest ones are, I believe, 15 and 13 or 16 and 14. I don't know how old those fucking kids are. I think about it for them. And like, we're Jamaican. So like Black History Month, like, is not like a thing in our house. So I think about it like in terms of them and them going to school and like what kind of shit that they learn about being black. And it's really weird now that I'm thinking about it because I'm not sure. This is going to sound really weird to say, but like, I don't know if they think about being black. And now I'm concerned about that. And I think I need to talk to them and kind of ask them like, what do you know about being black? Like, do you think you're black? Like, do you understand that you're black? Because when I was growing up, my mom was like very, very like, you are black. You are a man. These crackers will kill you. Don't be out here with these white people. Stay away from these white women. Try to get an education so you can get a job, so you can buy us a house and take care of us. And hopefully you be able to prosper as well. But we need a house for us as well.
That's super poignant.
But yeah, like I don't, like when I talk like, but like they have like black friends. Like my younger siblings have black friends. But like when I was living at home, intermittently throughout the entirety of my adulthood. Like I never really got the impression. I never really thought about if they knew that they were black and what it means for them to be black. My oldest younger brother is 26. It's 26. Me and him, we don't, we know. He know he black and he know what that shit mean. I don't know what that means for the younger siblings. So I think the next time that I go home, I'm actually gonna ask them about that. But as an adult, for me, like I'm just like, yeah, nigga, I'm just gonna do the same shit that I was doing before, writing about why black people need to stop centering white people, writing about why black people need to get their shit together and like really stop centering white people. Like that's the theme. That's gonna be the topic of today. Stop centering white people. That is the only message that I am carrying for Black History Month.
You know what's interesting is that when Des was talking about wearing the FAMU hoodie, like I had this picture in my head because I have similar thoughts about younger people not knowing who they are in the world. Because in my head, I thought he was going to go with he was wearing a FAMU hoodie and they thought that it was like a new brand or something like Fila or something. You know what I mean? and because I see that happening. And I often have this conversation on the internet about black music and how it's not necessarily black anymore or the mainstream stuff anyway, because it's people have gotten out of the church for better or worse. But you can see that influence is not there anymore. So I often think like the more we get away from even small aspects of our culture is kind of as generations go on, we kind of like peel away at some of our core blackness, I guess, if you want to call it. And I guess is re how do we teach that? You know what I mean? Like how do we get back and immerse ourselves back into our own culture in order for us to teach younger generations? Because it's even like food, right? Like I see now, even with like veganism, like there are people who are vegan who have now had like these vegan soul food restaurants, which is great. Um, but as I see like less and less, like even in Harlem, there's soul food restaurants run by white people, and I'm just kind of like, regardless of soul food and whatever the type of food it is, but like there's a culture there that's missing. Um, like I said, music, or even like, and I know people try to do this like trap everything, like trap church, trap yoga, trap,
Oh my god,
trap. But you know, it's always like some like caricature of black culture that doesn't mean anything. And to Des's point, it's just like, you know, when we caricature those things, and you know, they have their little white friends. It's like, oh my God, that's so cool. And they grow up to be, you know, HR directors and just be like, well, it's something that I learned. I don't think it means anything. So I don't know. It's two ways. It's more of like re-immersing ourselves in the culture to teach younger folks. And also it is about white people and what they need to learn and what they need to do better.
Mm-hmm. All right, Tunde.
So I got to go ahead and tell this quick story because X reminded me of it. He said he's surprised that Des didn't say the white person thought his family shirt was like a brand shirt. So this was like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. I was at this hip hop party here in Portland, right? And I was wearing a T-shirt. You guys see the T-shirt that says like Emmett and Amadou and Sean and
yeah.
So I had that shirt on, and I noticed this white guy kept staring at me, right? So I'm like, what is this dude like looking at? So usually when white people stare at me, I'm usually assuming that they think I play for the Blazers or something, right? So dude eventually comes up to me and he's like, man, I really like your T-shirt. I was like, oh, you know, dude just like, you know, down for the cause, whatever. He's like, oh, is that a rock band or something? I was like,
oh my God. What do you like about it? If you didn't know what it was, what you like about it? Letters?
Exactly. He thought it was a band. So I was like, nah, actually, these are black men in America who have been unjustly killed by white people. And he's like, you can see like like him process it in his head. He's like, oh, he's like, I'm so sorry, and he just walks away. And I was just like, the fuck? Like
that would have been hilarious to capture on camera.
Like I just couldn't believe it.
I love your shirt, dude. What is that? All the black people that are unjustly killed by the racist police.
Oh yeah, sorry, guy. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I gotta run, y'all.
All right. Later, Tunde.
All right, y'all.
Tunde has to go. All right. So to wrap this podcast up, we are going to talk about something that is that's popping on Twitter right now, as we occasionally do, because sometimes the shit is just so fucking ridiculous. It has to be talked about in another space. So, there was a conversation. I don't know if it's still ongoing, but it was going on right before I signed on to the fucking podcast, where they are talking about men inviting women to their houses as a first date, and whether this is appropriate, inappropriate, blah, 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 whatever. And I actually think this conversation started yesterday because a young lady, a woman, I'm not sure what the labels are. You got to cover all the bases.
Sure. A young person.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a young person posted a message, a series of messages where a man was inviting this person to his house for a date. Now, she or this person was saying that they did not want to go, and the young man in the messages was basically saying, trying to convince this person to come over. And this conversation was going back and forth, and the person was saying, like, I'm not comfortable. And the guy was basically like, that's what's wrong with y'all women. Y'all don't know how to be, y'all just be out here doing whatever. And I bet if I was a nigga with money, you'd want to come over and all this different shit. So Twitter just exacerbates everything. Like, you can say some shit like, I was walking down the street, and before you know it, Twitter will turn this entire shit into a fucking story about you walking down the street and somebody getting shot, and somebody getting robbed. And that's why niggas don't need to be buying no Jordans. And that's why, black people can't unify. And, that Twitter just exacerbates everything. But I found this conversation interesting for a number of reasons, right? Well, let me pause for a second. So, like, XD, I know that you read, I'm sure that you saw some of this stuff.
Oh,
What did you make out of all of this craziness?
I had two thoughts. One is what I usually say all the time, is that niggas is poor. Like, there's no reason for that gentleman, that man, to have so much vitriol about this lady not wanting to come to his house. Like, she said and she debated, like, why the fuck can't we just go outside? She didn't say, we need to go to Philippe. She didn't say they need to go to the Rainbow Room. She just wanted to meet in public because why? She don't know that nigga like that. What's wrong with that? My second thought was, straight people go through a lot.
This doesn't happen in the gay community?
No, because it starts at the nigga's house, and then you go on a date. Maybe. The only argument you have it is who's hosting. And then maybe you go on a date. But, like, niggas is crazy. Like, don't nobody, like, what you got at your house? That, what, you go serve her Alfredo with Kool-Aid?
Why is niggas so mad about? I'm tired of the Alfredo slander. I'm tired of Alfredo. I like Alfredo.
No one said there was anything wrong with your pasta buddy and your Alfredo sauce. Gee, like, there's no problem with that. The issue lies is the fact that there is other things that can be prepared.
Wow. Alfredo haters. I don't like that shit.
Ain't nobody hating on your Alfredo.
Des, what do you make about this stuff?
So I think, one, you shouldn't, unless there's a certain understanding, right? You should not invite a woman to your house on the first date. You shouldn't invite anybody to your house on the first date. Just because, like, it's a matter of comfort, safety. It's like, y'all don't know you, nigga. I'm not gonna show up to your house.
See, this is what I was trying to figure out. I was like, maybe it's because of where I'm from, but we don't just invite people to our house. Nigga,
right,
like, I don't know you.
That's the thing. Like, so I saw somebody saying, like, yo, if a dude invites you to his house, we got to just rob him. And I was like, yeah, that's what my girl cousins would have been like, yo, I got a lick. This nigga invited me to his house. I'm finna go over. We finna have some fun. And I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna leave the door unlocked. I'll come through. We finna get this nigga.
See, and I was trying to, and this is what I was trying. People were like, well, what's the worst that you can happen? He gets robbed. Yes,
that's the worst.
Is that not like an acceptable level? Is that like a below the threshold of danger? Oh, what's the worst that can happen? You could get robbed, nigga. I don't have any money to buy the stuff again.
Both of them could die. Like, they could kill each other.
Right, and I'm not saying. And when I said that, I'm not saying that the level of danger for men being assaulted by a woman in some form or another is the same as the danger of a woman being assaulted by a man. I'm not making that comparison at all. We all know that men be beating the shit and raping the shit and killing the shit out of women. That is never and not for debate. Right?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is I don't want to get robbed. And I feel like me being afraid of being robbed is a completely reasonable thing to fear. I don't care. Well, you know, the chances of that happening are slim. Nigga, the chances of me dying in a car accident are slim. I still put on my seatbelt. Like, I'm allowed to be worried about this because these things, where I'm from, which is the same place that Des is from, and Des just told you, hey, my girl cousins will set your ass up. That's where I'm from. I'm from a city like that where niggas go to people's houses and get duct taped and robbed. Well, the worst that could happen is he could just be robbed or humiliated. Yeah, that's pretty fucking awful.
Yeah. So hold on. I also want to say, right? I think context applies, right? I think if you meet someone out and we're like, oh, we met at this event. Hey, I'm doing a thing with a few of my friends, and there's going to be multiple people at my house. You're welcome to come through. That is not bad, because I've dated a person where I was like, yo, I'm having a thing at my house with my friends. I think you're really cute. We met. You're welcome to come through. If not, let's set up something else. That is okay. Like, because I was having like a game night. That's okay. If you just a solo one-on-one, hey, it's nice to meet you. I just met you. Why don't you come over to my house? No, nobody's going to do that. Because they're like, nah, nigga, you look like you eat fingers. I'm good on that. Like,
you look like you eat fingers, my nigga.
I'm just saying, like, anybody who invites you to the house on the first date immediately thinks, what the fuck you think? Because like, I'm gonna be like, you think I'm gonna fuck you on the first date?
I mean,
some people do. Some people do. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, like, nobody wants to feel like somebody looked at you and was like, you'll fuck me on the first date. You're the one. Everybody wants to feel like they be. Everybody likes to chase, man. And inviting you to my house on the first date ain't the chase.
I do not like the chase. Des likes to. I do not. XD, you wanted to say something.
You know, okay, so let me ask, okay, because I haven't touched the vagina in many a moon, so bear with me. How do you even engage like a woman and your intent is to have sex with her, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's just your general intention. What do you do? Like, I'm assuming in this case, right, in the conversation, like, I'm going to assume that he was just planning to just come to my house so he can beat or whatever. But like, how is that? I know we talk about, like, a lot of women say, you know, you should be direct and say what you want, but you know, that's not necessarily the case. So how do you navigate that as men, or heterosexual, or practicing heterosexual men in this time that we live in? Say you meet a girl or a woman and you say, hey, I'm really interested in you. Is this like and you say you don't necessarily like the chase. How do you do that?
Well, what I used to do is I try to get all of that shit out in the beginning. Just by a regular conversation. I try to gauge whether or not this woman is actually interested in doing anything other than talking to me on the phone. So for me personally, I don't have, maybe some niggas got it like that. I don't. I'm not the nigga that's just going to be like, so why don't you just come by the crib so, you know, we can make it happen. Like, it's not my approach. Like, I feel like I grew up in a time.
That did happen.
Yeah, no, not necessarily that, but I feel like I grew up in a time where you had to have some finesse. Like, the internet wasn't when I was growing up, the internet wasn't how we got women, right? Like, we had to go talk to women. We had to, you know, we had to play. We had to get our Mac down. You had to figure out the right combination of words. You got to get her to laugh. You got to get her to feel comfortable. You got to go on a date. Like, you have to do things in order for her to feel like, or at least I had to do things in order for a woman to feel like I'm comfortable taking off my panties in front of him. Right? Like, and it stayed like that for like a long time until the internet came along. And then, you know, with the internet, you know, things move quickly. You start tweeting, You start with a DM, and then somebody sends some news, and it just kind of takes off from there. All that shit happens in like 24 hours or less. Depending on how long she was feeling you, and she was just waiting for you to say something, depending on how long she might have been trying to get your attention. You know, like whatever. It's like a whole bunch of range of different factors now with the internet and everything, because you see people, quote unquote, but you might feel an attraction to them, but like something might not happen, or y'all might not come across each other. And then all of a sudden, like once it happens, it's like things just happen quickly because these are things that these people already wanted. But like when when I was like 15, 16, 17, even when I was in college and Facebook was like just beginning to be a thing, like you still had to walk up to women and talk to them. So like you really you couldn't. I mean, I'm sure niggas back then were just walking up to women like, what's up with the what's up. But I wasn't. Like I had to gauge these things because my big thing was I always wanted a woman to feel comfortable with anything that happened between us. I wanted her to feel comfortable taking off her panties in front of me, wherever that may be, whether that might be in public or in private, however she wants to do that. And I also wanted a woman to feel comfortable saying no, like I don't want to do this. Because the last thing that I ever wanted was for somebody to feel like I forced them or they were coerced into doing a thing that they didn't want to do. So I always play the cautious role. Like I always walk into a situation feeling like this might not go the way that you want it to go. And you have to be okay with that. So that's how I approach women, that she might say no. So like, don't say nothing real crazy because, you can talk yourself out of a situation just as easily as you can talk yourself into one. And then ultimately it's her decision anyway. So I just have to be cool with that. So that's how I approached it. But I mean, niggas, with the internet, niggas just be, they Steph Curry memes and shit. They just be doing whatever out here.
Gotcha. Okay. That's interesting. I just only think like, because he was just so upset in the message, just so mad, like,
right,
bitch, why do you want to come to my house? Like, and it was just kind of like, why are you so angry? Like, do you not know how to talk to women?
They do not. But I also don't. But here's the thing that I always find counterintuitive about these particular situations, right? If your goal was to get her to come to your house to have sex with you, you would think that at some point she would need to feel comfortable doing that thing. And I'm not sure how you get her to feel comfortable doing that thing when you've already exhibited this behavior that says that you are not okay with her saying no, right? Like if you're having a text message conversation with this girl and you're like, come to my house for the first date. And she's like, no. And you're like trying to convince her, you try to do this, you try to do that. And she's like, nah, like I'm not cool. And then you get an attitude. Okay, so now what you're basically showing her is once she says no, you are not going to take no for an answer. So if you're trying to get a woman to your house, how does you showing that you won't take no for an answer supposed to get her there any faster? That's what I never understand.
Yeah.
Des?
I don't know. That's them niggas with that. It's weird logic. It's a weird
niggas. I don't know.
It's a weird ass logic. I'm gonna say this, right? As somebody who is like, I'm poly, kinky, queer. I don't deal in some of the same spaces that like straight hetero men are going to be dealing with. If I meet a woman, most of the time, like, okay, I already know you're kinky, queer. Like, boom, we're there. And then we can talk and have a discussion that's a little more nuanced into the things that we're interested in and the thing, because we already know the things that we're open to. And we say, okay, let's clarify. Okay, boom, we meet there, boom. All right, now we have a discussion about, well, what could you bring to my life? What could you bring to my life? And then we go from there. Like, I'm never in a space where I feel like I have to pressure anybody for anything. Like, I think the thing that a lot of, like, and this is me, right? My consent model, and I think it's pretty much everybody's, or maybe it's an appropriate consent model, is continuous enthusiastic yeses. And if I get that, then like we're gonna move forward with whatever we want to do with continuous enthusiastic yeses.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Somebody brought this up on the timeline the other day, and I have a homegirl that's into alternative lifestyles, as I like to refer to it as. And the person on the timeline was saying that in BDSM culture, because this is what he's talking about specifically, like he felt like they were more advanced in terms of their methods of consent because the community itself. I'm just asking. Let me be clear. I'm asking a question. I don't know the answer to this question because I am not part of this community yet. So I'm asking a question. He said that he felt like the BDSM community had a better sort of grasp on what consent means because of the things that you were just talking about. And I have a homegirl who lives an alternative lifestyle who says that she finds that the rules of engagement there seem to be a little bit different and a little bit better than some of the non-alternative stuff that she's had in the past. So
let me give you an example.
Well, wait. I'll let
no, go ahead. No, go ahead, Des. Go ahead, because you're probably going to say the same thing.
You can jump in after that. So go ahead, Des.
So it's called The Scene. The Scene is a microcosm of the regular society. So the same problems that exist in regular society exist in The Scene because you deal with the same thing. Like, right, for me, right? I'm a queer black man. I don't necessarily traffic in gay spaces. I didn't realize that amongst gay men, like there's this no fats, no femmes. Like that is a big thing. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was like, we do as we here, we finna knock this out. And in the kink scene, you have this whole thing where people are like, you have the edge players versus the kind of everybody else. And it's like, no, you're into what you're into. You specify, acknowledge, designate, and then you pursue according to what your interests are and where you guys match up. You have the framework, right? So everybody has it's like a manual. Everybody has the book. Did you read the book? Are you applying the things that you learned in the book with the people that you meet? If you're not, you're going to make the exact same mistakes that you make outside of the lifestyle, right? And then there are different lifestyles. Like in the kinky scene, in the BDSM scene, you have a very different way of approaching and engaging people than you do in the swinger community. They're very different. And if you don't respect the rules the rules for basketball are different from the rules of football, but at the end of the day, you're still putting a ball in a designated space.
XD?
Very different games.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say, I agree with Des in this, like in the scene, all the rules of society exist in that particular space. I think it's very dangerous to say that people feel a little bit more safe in leading an alternative lifestyle, is what you call it, because that gives a false narrative of what actually happens. And because I've also found that a lot of people claim that they're getting into the lifestyle and they're actually abusers, and that's a gateway so that they can abuse freely.
Yep.
So that's that. Tell your home girl, hey girl. I mean, whatever however she finds her level of comfortability in that space, that's great. However, I strongly disagree that the rules are more defined or it's safer in that space, because it's definitely not.
It's not.
Gotcha.
Like, people know the rules. I would say they're more explicit in the way that you're supposed to engage. Do motherfuckers still find ways around that and not obey and not follow? Absolutely.
Naturally.
Because it could be as simple as not hearing a safe word. I mean, that's just a very rudimentary kind of thing. But like, oh, I didn't hear you say it. That's why I make sure the safe words are something that you would never hear. Right. Like Kuji Jakalia. Where's that going to come up? It's true. Like, again, it goes back to this whole theme of this conversation today. Niggas lie. And
the niggas lie episode.
Yeah, it is. And like, and they abuse. Like, there have been tons of cases where people are. That's why I hate 50 Shades of Grey.
That was a terrible book. It was a terrible book. I was an abuser
and a motherfucker. Like, but people are like, oh my god, oh yes, spank her, punch her in the eye. Like, no,
I even punch her in the eye.
Like, that's not love.
That's real.
I love that Kuji Jakalia is your safe word. I love it.
Jakalia. I'm definitely gonna.
When is that coming up ever?
I don't.
No, one of the. I love it. I love it. One of the safe words that I use: airport security, because in no Kinky space. Airport security.
I think we should do an episode on safe words because this is fucking ridiculous.
I also use safe words in problematic conversations. Yeah.
What do you mean problematic conversations?
Like, I did this podcast with this guy. He was covering like homophobia. He's a recovering homophobe, LOL. And I was like, when you get too problematic, you say some old shit, I'm gonna give you a safe. I'm gonna say coochie chocolate. That's when you pull back. And that's when and I had to use it a couple times. I was like, ooh, coochie chocolate, coochie chocolate, coochie chocolate. And it helps. Like, because it's not gonna come up ever.
I feel like people in a relationship should do that. Like when we all get into an argument and shit, get into coochie chocolate. All right, nigga, time out.
Yeah, turn it down.
Everybody go back to their corners.
So can I throw something in?
Sure.
My wife and I, we do a thing called a check-in, where it's like, all right, I'm gonna check in, and it's like we agree. It's like two people walking in to this space that's called the check-in. She's walking in from her door. I'm walking in from my door. In this space, there's no judgment. There's no anger. There's no frustration. There's only facts and how we can deal with those facts and work around those facts. When we step out, we may still have those feelings that are outside of that check-in space, but in that check-in space, we acknowledge to fix it, and we push those facts to the side. We say, okay, this person came to this space, said they were going to fix it. When we sit down, we're like, hey, can I check in with you on this? Boom. Hey, you did this thing and it made me feel this way. It's like, okay, I apologize. I didn't mean to. Or, hey, I thought you would perceive it this way. Like, I think if we develop communicating and opening up channels that we're not necessarily used to, that eliminate power dynamics, that eliminate structure, that eliminate hierarchy, you can find that, hey, niggas really just want to be treated well all across all spectrums. And if you create a space for that in your relationship, check-ins, being that for us, and you create a safe word or whatever, you can get through a lot of shit.
That's genius.
That's so fucking.
That's some adult shit right there.
Nigga, I'm like speechless. I'm like, wow, that is so mature. Wow.
You got to come to my class. I'm teaching the class on it.
Look at you.
Yes, let me know because I'm about to show up because that shit is that.
That was
all right. I'll
hit you the podcast on that. That was real positive. That was real like uplifting. Like somebody who's listening to this shit, who's having a fucked up relationship right now, is probably gonna learn, like, you know what? Maybe we should try to do a check-in with each other, and maybe that's how we can be able to get past our problems. And that's bravo, nigga, bravo.
You did that.
Indeed. That is the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining us with your time on your morning commute while you're not doing shit at work, while you're protesting against the white devil at work with your headphones. We'd like to thank XD for joining us. Definitely appreciate it having you, man. It was a blast. Definitely got to bring you back soon. Definitely.
Yes, anytime.
Again, tell the people, where they can find you, where they can listen to you, where you're doing awesome shit. Like, let them know.
Just to make it simple, anything and everything, you can find me at xavierdelow.com.
How do you spell that? Niggas can't spell.
XAVIERDLEAU.com, and that's my social media handle everywhere. So,
all right. Well, it's episode 16, season 4, Niggas with a Podcast. We will see y'all next week. Peace.
Bye.